even when I thought I knew a lot about low light, then I talked to him and I realized, well, there's more to it than I know. I mean, you can definitely dive down the rabbit hole there, but the bottom line is, even for a private citizen, you have to know the basics of low light.
And they figure out a lot of things, right? So, just so happens I've got my training aid right here, so you have a lot that think, hey, they're just going to do, the thumb and do the depress. And then after they shoot a couple rounds, because again, this is theory speaking of them just messing around at the house. Then when they're actually shooting some rounds, they're going, man, my thumb's all jacked up.
Yep.
Yeah, buddy. So students have to be careful. And I don't care whether you're, civilian law enforcement or military, you have to be careful of the information that's out there. So there's a whole bunch of people that will tell you all kinds of certain things. If nobody's giving you the why behind that instruction, to me, that's suspect. So in all the stuff we're doing, hey man, I'm going to show you some techniques. This is what I think works. I'll show you, give you the why, give you the pros and cons, but people have to get out there and kind of vet some things themselves. Dry fire is great. But at the end of the day, especially, when you're looking at a weapons mounted light, they've got to do some dry fire in there where, let me just do this thumb depress and get my quick illumination. Then we got an intermittent light, or their thumb doesn't reach, or all the things they think can happen once they actually start shooting rounds don't.
But yeah, or their thumb pops off during recoil and they're looking for the light or whatever. Yeah, that's another huge advantage of a pistol mounted light, is that you're able to maintain as much as possible that good two-handed firing grip. But the grip is probably going to have to be altered to some degree,
sure,
so that you can have access to that light without having to fumble for it. It's like with a long gun, a lot of people, they may be running a carbine and they're holding it like this, but their light is up here. It's like, dude, you're never going to move your hand up there, find that light and manipulate it in time under duress. You're going to have to run that thing with your thumb so you can just depress the light, or however you're depressing the light, but you have to hold it so you can easily get to the light. You can't, that's too much of a gap to close in a very tight window. So yeah.
And that's where your pressure pads come in, where
yes,
a lot of people, even with the pistols, right? So there are pressure pads for them. Are people using it? It's going to be an added cost. To me, I think, especially with your carbine, that's a have to, not a want to. I want that positive control there. And then for me, I'm taking my pressure pad and kind of putting it almost at the 11 o'clock position on my rail, because that's going to keep it kind of tucked away a little bit. So it's going to prevent me from having a white light AD. And then really at that 9 o'clock, that's where my visible laser, or my IR laser, is going to be at. So it just knowing where your pads are at. And again, it all boils down to putting time on the range, getting that dry fire training in there to make yourself successful with whatever platform you're using.
Well said. Rick, are you partial to any particular brand of light, be it handheld or weapon mounted? And what types of things do you look for in a tactical light?
So when it comes, Surefire, you can't beat them. We've also done some stuff with Streamlight, so the thing you have to look at is what's the application. So with all of this stuff, what are you doing with the light? So if you think about this, if I go out and buy the latest and greatest 1,000 lumen light, and then I'm going to try to use it for that home defense scenario, that 1,000 lumen, depending on the colors of your walls, things you have, may be too much light for you. So one of the things we do, like at our low light class, we've got some different lighting options out there just so people can get an idea. When you start talking lumens, they have no clue what you're speaking about, but try to go, hey man, if I'm out in a rural area, maybe 1,000 lumens will work for you scanning out in a rural area. It could be way too much depending on your house, your light walls, hitting mirrors, all this stuff coming back at you. So you just got to be aware when you're sitting there buying whatever light source, how many lumens is it putting out. If you can get up with somebody else that has something similar to what you're looking for, try that beforehand. And then just kind of go, hey, is this what I'm looking for, with my light source? So there's you can't do a clear cut, right? My EDC light is different than my weapons mounted light, is different than, the rifle mounted light. So it just, what's the application that you're looking to apply in this low light setting? And then from there, you just got to make the best dedicated decision. And then obviously at the end of the day, hey, what can you afford to purchase? Buy quality, right? I see too many guys that go out and buy this $29.95 pocket light, and then it's good for a day or two, or whatever the case is. So spend, get you a good quality light source. Your life depends on it.
Yeah, you brought up a good point too, as far as lumens. And a lot of people, the advertising is sort of confusing because you got lumens, you got candela, and there's lux, there's all these things. I wrote an article a year or two ago for Guns and Ammo magazine, and it kind of forced me to take a deep dive into what all that means, what's the difference between this and that. And it is a little confusing, and it's not necessarily all about the best light is the one with the highest lumen output, like you mentioned. So it's something you can read about. A lot of this stuff is available online as far as helping you to choose a light. But I certainly prefer one that's pretty simple to operate. I don't want to be messing with 14 switches to get to the mode I want. And if it is a multi-mode, I wonder if you'd agree with me on this. I want the brightest setting initially. I could always go down to an administrative type use, but I don't want to be scrolling through stuff to try to get to a bright light.
Get that maximum light source you can, but you got to test it beforehand. Like, what's the application? So it's one thing to go, hey, I'm getting a light for what? If I'm looking at it for, hey, something goes bump in the middle of the night. Okay, I don't need a super powerful light inside my home. So I agree. If you're sitting there, hey, if you're an officer or something like that, yeah, crank the highest lumens or the highest lumens you've got. But here's the other thing. You have to vet all this stuff, especially these guys that are red dot agencies. What is that light doing to your red dot potentially? So again, if you're going into that evening shift, maybe you bumped your dot down brightness some, but what happens when you turn that light on? Do you still have the dot? Is it there? Is it clearly visible to you? So there's a bunch of things depending on lights, what you have for accessories on your firearm, and then what role you're playing with, whether you're that law-abiding citizen or that law enforcement officer. You just got to make sure all your equipment's in check.